All right, so let's start with the screening test. Number one on the list would be the prothrombin time, or what we usually call PT, right? Prothrombin time or PT. So the principle of prothrombin time is as follows. Prothrombin time measures the time for fibrin formation. So basically, what we are trying to assess here is the capacity of the thrombin, sorry, the capacity of the prothrombin to be converted into thrombin, and thrombin also being used in order to convert fibrinogen into fibrin. This reflects the overall efficiency of the extrinsic system. So, if there is something wrong with the extrinsic coagulation pathway of the patient, there is a great possibility that the result for the prothrombin time of the patient will come out abnormal. Again, kung may abnormality sa extrinsic coagulation system or extrinsic coagulation pathway sang pasyente, most probably ang iyang prothrombin time mangin abnormal man. Tandaan nyo guys, tandaan nyo, prothrombin time, extrinsic coagulation pathway. Prothrombin time is sensitive to changes in clotting factors 5, 7, and 10, and less sensitive to clotting factor 2 or your prothrombin. So basically, if may deficiency kita sa clotting factor 5, clotting factor 7, clotting factor 10, and clotting factor 2, mangin abnormal ang prothrombin time result. Or, kung may Or, another scenario, kung okay man ang concentrations ng clotting factors 5, 7, 10, and 2, but may ara nga ga-exist nga inhibitor sang imo nga clotting factors 5, 7, 10, and 2, mangin abnormal man ang prothrombin time sang imo nga pasyente. So guys, duha ka scenario kung sa diin mangin abnormal ang prothrombin time. Number one scenario, if we have deficiency in any of these clotting factors. And the second scenario, if there is an existing inhibitor for any of the clotting factor mentioned. It is also unsuitable for detecting minor changes in fibrinogen level. So basically, example, kung nagnubo jutay ang fibrinogen level ng pasyente mo, wala na effect sa prothrombin time. But kung nagnubo ang fibrinogen levels ng pasyente mo, or kung may ARA inhibitor, again, nga present against sa clotting factors 5 mo, or 7, or 10, or 2, pwede mangin abnormal ang imo nga prothrombin time. Right? So guys, tatlo gali ka scenario, idugang taang abnormal fibrinogen level. Kung ang fibrinogen level sa imo pasyente tam-an kanubo, pwede gali ang iya PT mangin abnormal. The sensitivity of the test is influenced by the reagent and technique used, and it is important to establish a reference range locally. So pareho lang sa ginasulit-sulit naman gina-emphasize ni Miss Yvette, right? Kada laboratory, lain-lain ang reference range nga ginaset. Because number one, pwede lain-lain nga machines or different machines nga ginagamit, lainay man ang reagents nga ginagamit, right? The same man as a prothrombin time, guys. Reagents might vary. Reagents that are being used might vary in different labs, more so with the machine that are being used by different laboratories. So we have one of the minimum requirements to perform your PT. You have your platelet poor plasma from the patient, and of course, we should have a control plasma sample. We have the thromboplastine, which may contain calcium chloride, and yeah, the concentration of calcium chloride should be 0.025 moles per liter, and this is only required if thromboplastine reagent does not contain calcium. But there are already reagents, no, mga thromboplastine reagents that are already incorporated with calcium ions, such in the form of calcium chloride. Pero again, kung wala gani ang reagent nga thromboplastine, kung wala siya gani unod or wala mi naka-incorporate nga calcium sa iya, no, makuha kita additional reagent nga calcium chloride, right, to mix with your thromboplastine. Next, we have the INR and ISI. So INR stands for International Normalized Ratio. This was established by the this was established by World Health Organization and the International Committee on Thrombosis and Hemostasis on reporting the results of the prothrombin time. We have actually a calculation for the INR. First, we get the prothrombin time of the patient divided by the prothrombin time of the control sample raised to the power of ISI. What is ISI? By the way, the ISI is the International Sensitivity Index. This has this specific what number is already provided by the manufacturer. So, kung ano ang ginbutang nga ISI sa kit nga gin-provide sang manufacturer, amo man na ang i-butang mo diri, i-carry mo diri sa formula in calculating the INR. Guys, sorry, this should be raised to ISI, right? This should be raised to ISI. Again, you get the prothrombin time of the patient divided by the prothrombin time of the control sample, raise the answer by ISI. Where will we get the ISI, miss? So the ISI is already provided by the manufacturer. Sang kit nga gingamit nimo. The anticoagulant for the anticoagulant therapy control, the the INR is usually 2.0 to 3.0. Again, the anticoagulant therapy, if the patient is under anticoagulant therapy control, the INR is 2.0 to 3.0. ISI reflects reagent sensitivity to different vitamin K dependent factor deficiency. Right, so we have here an image showing you how your PT is being done. So first you have your blood sample of the patient, which is basically mixed with the citrate, and this will be centrifuged to separate the plasma and then the solid cells constituent. We discard the blood cells, your WBCs, and then the red blood cells. We only retrieve the plasma. So the plasma will be mixed with calcium and your thromboplastine, and then we try to observe for the formation of the fibrin clot. And the time it takes for the fibrin clot to form is your PT. So here is the result for your PT. The result can be expressed in mean of the duplicate recordings in seconds. So basically, ang sa previous no nga picture or sa slide, you have there the picture. If we just do a duplicate of that specific process, the two results will be, we get the mean of the two results. And then that is the PT or the prothrombin time that will be recorded sa results ng imo nga pasyente. So, ang mean sa duha ka PT results will be the final PT or prothrombin time sa pasyente. And we can also express the PT in INR. Again, we calculate the INR by dividing the PT of the patient um, to the control, to the PT of the control sample raised to ISI or, um, sorry, ISI or the International Sensitivity Index that is again provided by the manufacturer. Now, for the normal range, 11 to 16 seconds, if we use rabbit thromboplastin, right? If we use rabbit thromboplastin as one of the reagents that would initiate the formation of the fibrin clot, then our normal range would be 11 to 16 seconds. But instead of using rabbit thromboplastin, if we use recombinant human thromboplastin, then we should set the normal reference range to 10 to 12 seconds. Again, if ang gingamit naman niyang reagent is the recombinant human thromboplastin, then our normal reference range should be 10 to 12 seconds. What are the causes of prolonged PT? So, paano ka maghamba prolonged PT? Let's say, ang PT sa imo pasyente would be 20 seconds. So that is already prolonged no matter what normal reference range we use, right? So if the PT of the patient is 20 seconds, then we might suspect that the patient might be undergoing some anticoagulant drug therapy. Pwede nga nag-take oral anticoagulant drugs ang pasyente, and we know that these anticoagulants might affect the function of your vitamin K dependent proteins. We might also suspect that the patient we can also suspect that the patient might be having liver diseases, but of course, in order to have a proper diagnosis on this one, there has to be other tests that need to be performed on the patient. Of course, dira na masulod ang mga liver function tests sa chemistry sa pasyente and other tests that might aid the doctor or the physician to really diagnose the patient of having liver disease. So we have vitamin K deficiency. We know that without vitamin K, your clotting factors 2, 10, 5, and 7 will not be activated. DIC in disseminated intravascular coagulation, and if the patient has been previously underdiagnosed with factor 7, 5, or 10 or prothrombin deficiency or defect. So, isa ni siya sa mga lalantawan sa physician. Probably the patient has a deficiency in any of the vitamin K dependent clotting factors, and that's why prolonged ang PT sang pasyente. Right? So again guys, kung prolonged ang PT sang pasyente, pwede, mayroon ka na general idea that probably the patient is having some abnormalities in his or her extrinsic coagulation pathway, or the patient might be having some deficiency or defect sa any nga clotting factors diri. Clotting factor 7 man na, 10, 5, or clotting factor 2.